Republican senators could not help themselves but be on the side of a corporation, despite the anti-Starbucks animus that's been circling around on right-wing radio. It's just really kind of fascinating.
Right.
In this hearing that Howard Schultz testified at, Howard Schultz, former Democratic candidate for president, right? That he was able to become a candidate for president just because he was a billionaire. I mean, think about that. I have money, so I'm qualified to be president of the United States.
And let us not forget,
That
2016 candidate Hillary Clinton
wanted him to be her Secretary of Labor. That's always great to include when we talk about Howard Schultz. His only friends in that hearing were Republicans. And this goes to, we talked, we didn't plan this, but there has been a bit of a through line during the episode today of how, quote unquote wokeness or a liberal veneer is used cynically by corporations to obscure over their interest in lording over their employees, in, abusing their employees in many ways. And, I think that we can see this from Starbucks because up until, the workers started to unionize, there was this idea of Starbucks as kind of a model employer, even among the, Democrats. And it's become more and more clear as the story, as workers continue to unionize, that it was just a veneer over any other company.
Right. Yeah, because they had this like pseudo progressive image, and it was very shallow, but it was out there, and it also had opposition from the far right, because. I can't speak to everywhere, but certainly down here in Alabama, we had plenty of folks who thought and still think Starbucks is anti-Christian.
Mm-hmm.
They're anti-Christian.
Right.
Probably because of a cup having to do with Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
You don't get too many sophisticated answers when you pry for something like that. But yeah, there's some fascination, I think, with Starbucks and being too woke, too progressive, whatever it may be. And so it's funny to see that, Republican senators, are coming to his defense when their own base doesn't like Starbucks, or at least a significant amount of the base. Now,
it really is amazing that they just can't help themselves. Like, this it really is. The base has been activated against Starbucks in many ways throughout the years, because of whatever design
I think that was a very important front in the war on Christmas.
Right.
That theater saw a lot of action.
And the idea that the Republican senators could not help themselves but be on the side of a corporation, despite all of this, the anti-Starbucks animus that's been circling around on right-wing radio. It's just really kind of fascinating.
Right.
It's wild.
Well, their class allegiance comes out when push comes to shove. They love to spew a lot of bullshit in their media apparatus that they feed to, the normal folks, right? The regular viewers. Get mad at Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
They hate Jesus.
Right.
And then turn around and defend their billionaire, union-busting, law-breaking asshole CEO.
Right. And so, Rand Paul's response, Rand Paul's kind of opening statement for the minority in the Senate was pretty emblematic of, a lot of what we saw from the Republicans. So let's play this first clip from Rand Paul to see what they had to say.
I kind of don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Ayn Rand's Howard Roark points out the ingratitude that man has for the entrepreneur, the creator. Thousands of years ago, the first man discovered how to make fire. He was probably burnt at the stake he taught the others to light.
Mm. I mean, just listen to that. Listen to that. The aggrievement, the persecution complex there. I mean, it's just totally wild. And then he goes on to say, like, oh, Starbucks didn't invent fire, but they did, they're admirable, blah, 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 blah.
I wish he could have just come up there and said, haters are going to hate, and Howard Schultz has a lot of haters, so I'm going to support him.
Yeah.
He could have said that, and honestly, that would have made more sense than the not. I'm not surprised he would quote her in his hearing in his very first fucking paragraph. Not surprised.
His first 2 words was Ayn Rand. Wild. And then let's play the second clip from Rand Paul about why he thinks that Starbucks is being attacked right now.
Convincing the public to buy very expensive coffee is not the discovery of fire, but still it deserves respect. Instead, Congress convenes today not to praise Starbucks, but to bury them. The hearing today is convened to attack a private company for its success, when its success has benefited both customers and its employees alike. We've heard of the average wages, over $17. We've heard of the 401k plans. We've heard of the parental leave, even for part-time employees. Starbucks giving away tens of millions of dollars each year. They have 100% tuition and fee for a bachelor's degree. Maybe it doesn't sound like too bad a place to work.
Yeah, well, you know what, Rand, if it's not so bad a place to work, then why don't you go work there?
Right? Isn't that's what we're supposed to say, right?
Right.
Oh, you don't like your job, go get another job?
Yeah. Well, if you like that job, maybe you should take it.
Right.
Maybe you should take it. But also, here's a question, Adam. Was the hearing titled "The Poverty Wages of Starbucks"? An expose. Is that what the title of the hearing was?
I don't think it was.
Was it about Starbucks doesn't offer any health care at all? Was that the title of the hearing?
No, I don't think so.
Let's hear. Okay, well, now I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit confused. Was the title of the hearing "Why Success is Always Bad"?
Close.
Yeah, so
you're getting closer there, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna need my memory jogged. Let's go to Bernie Sanders, where he tells in response to Mark Wayne Mullen, who went on a really bizarre tirade against Bernie Sanders in his book writing.
Yeah, well, he's still kind of grieving over getting his ass whipped by the Teamsters in that hearing.
Yeah, but in response to that, Bernie, as always on message, he reminded people what the hearing is about.
Furthermore, what this hearing is about is whether or not you talk about being pro-union. Really, what this hearing is about is whether workers have the constitutional right to form a union. The evidence is overwhelming, not from me, but from the National Labor Relations Board, is that time after time after time, despite what Mr. Schultz is saying, Starbucks has broken the law and has prevented workers from joining unions to collectively bargain for decent wages and benefits. Senator Baldwin.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Rand Paul must have not gotten the memo that is evident from the title of the hearing. He must not have realized that, in fact, the hearing was not about what are the particulars of the benefits package that's offered at Starbucks. It was about whether or not workers in this country have the constitutional right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association in the workplace. That's what it was about. It wasn't about how much money Howard Schultz has. It wasn't about this or that or the other thing. Those are ancillary things that can be brought up related to that, potentially, if it's relevant. But the fundamental thing is Starbucks violating the law? And how are they violating the law? And the answer is obviously yes. And how they violated the law is evident throughout the hearing.
I mean, we're talking over 1,000 violations of the law. 1,000. Over 1,000. And what, in 1 year's time? Maybe? Maybe, it's really egregious. And, last I checked, Mr. Rand Paul liked to talk about freedom. love to
Right.
talk about freedom.
Right.
Is this not an issue of freedom? The ability to organize with your coworkers, your speech, your assembly. I mean, if ever there was something about freedom to discuss here, Mr. Paul, here's your opportunity. But time after time, just as Starbucks violates the law, Republicans show whose side they're on.
Right. Exactly. And that's how you know that the company's side has no argument. It's all built on sand because they never address the argument. They never look and see, okay, let's look at this case.
Right.
Did or did not.
They haven't come up with over 1,000
Right.
explanations.
Exactly.
these violations,
And so
right?
they always try to obfuscate, and they always say, oh, you're being attacked for your success. Oh, woe is me. I'm a billionaire. People hate me. Oh, woe is me. And I'm not going to be a part of a witch hunt. Explain to us how it's a witch hunt, Rand. Explain that to us. If it's a witch hunt, you should have no problem at all disentangling all of the ways in which all 1,000 of the allegations against Starbucks are bullshit.
Right.
Just prove it to us.
Yeah, and it really pisses me off to hear that kind of language, witch hunt. Okay, well, first of all, do you know what they did to the witches?
Right.
It was a little bit worse than testifying before Congress, because here's the thing. What Howard Schultz endured this week is probably the biggest consequence the man will ever face for any of this.
Exactly.
That is how weak the labor law is in this country, that is probably the extent to it. And, I get that Senator Sanders is actually using his capacity as chairman of the Health Committee to do something, to try to be proactive and actually respond to the issues of people in this country. And so I appreciate Senator Sanders for what he's doing. And I guess it's blowing some people's minds
Right.
that they might actually back up labor law in Congress. There's a never-ending stream to be tough on crime.
Right.
The same motherfuckers talking like this in the hearing would love for you to be tough on crime.
Right.
But it's only some kind of crime. It's only some kind of criminals, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a witch hunt. Congress has had hearings that were witch hunts. We've had the Red Scare, and it helped devastate the labor movement in this country, and we still have not recovered from that. We are still suffering from that witch hunt. This guy is a billionaire lawbreaker, rampant violations of the law time after time, and the worst thing that happens to him is he has to sit there and testify under oath, which obviously made no difference to him because he still fucking lied.
Right.
And that was the worst thing that's going to happen to him over this. He's not going to lose his billions. He's not going to ever face a day in jail. He's never going to lose his freedom. He's never going to suffer consequences, real consequences like the workers in Starbucks have had to face as a result of his bullshit.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.
Which side are you on?